Hey, and welcome back to Paro89's channel. We're going to be covering the Elementalist profession this time. Had a lot of fun, took a lot of time to unlock all the skills, so we're going to just go through and discuss them real quick and try to just, show off some gameplay. So let's get going. Alright, so the Elementalist has very, very few weapon choices and combinations put together, but in exchange for it, they get 4 attunements from which they can draw their skills from. Those attunements being fire, water, air, and earth. So as you can see, I have a staff equipped, so we'll start going through the staff, and we'll start with fire. Fireballs, you just can, repeatedly cast that, does a small AoE damage. Lava Font is a targeted AoE that does damage to as long as the enemy stands in it. Flame Burst just cause the enemy to burn, and foes near that enemy. Burning Retreat will allow you to backflip and leave a trail of fire behind you. And then Meteor Shower is the targeted AoE that does a lot of damage, however the damage is random, so not as great as we would like. So, just looking over the various attunements. Basically, fire is your AoE, water is your support/healing, lightning is your single target damage, and earth is more defensive for yourself. So for water, you've got Water Blast, Ice Spike, which is an AoE, Geyser, which is a healing, a very small radius AoE. Frozen Ground, it just is a CC. You can put that at a choke point and slow people down. And then Healing Rain is a large area heal over time. For lightning, you have Chain Lightning, which will bounce between enemies. You then have Lightning Surge, which after charging up will blast an enemy and blind them. You have Gust, which pushes your foe back. It's a nice little give yourself time. Windspawn Speed will give you and nearby allies swiftness. And then Static Field, which you put the field up, and if they hit the edge of it, will stun them. And then Earth, we have Stoning, which gives the enemy weakness. Eruption, which is an AoE, which will cause bleeding. Magnetic Aura reflects projectiles. Unsteady Ground is another choke point ability. And then Shockwave will immobilize enemies and cause them to bleed. So let's show off the staff skills here a little bit. Start with fire here. And that last ability there would be Meteor Storm. As you can see, it's not nearly as accurate as it was in Guild Wars 1, which kind of makes me a little sad because that was the bread and butter of the Fire Elementalist, was that ability. So here we go with Ice. Miss with that. Heal myself a little bit. As you can see, if you stack the 2 healing abilities, you're really kind of set. And hit with that AoE that time. Let's switch to lightning now. Oh, hit another enemy there.
I could outrun a centaur.
As you can see, the Elementalist is fairly squishy, so you have to stay mobile, especially, so your enemies don't get to you. This is especially true in PvP, so if your enemy gets to you, you're dead. Let's switch to Earth here. Now I know I always say stay mobile, but if you start moving, the enemy moves with you, so then your AoEs miss. Just to take a look at what Magnetic Aura looks like, and then any projectile that hits you will move away, and that's unsteady ground that I just put down. Alright, so let's switch up weapons here. Let's go to Scepter, and... No. Let's go, let's go Dagger. Let's not go, So, if Staff is like your long-range AoE options, Dagger is more like your short-range. So let's talk about this real quick. You have Dragon's Claw, which will fire off 3 abilities in front of you. You have Drake's Breath, which is that. You breathe fire for a few seconds. Burning Speed will allow you to charge forward and do damage. You then have Ring of Fire, which does exactly that. Any enemy that passes through the ring will have burning caused to them. And then that last ability that I used is called Burning Grasp, which does extra damage if your foe is burning. Burning Grab, sorry, not Burning Grasp. So let's go on to water now. The nice thing about Vapor Blade is it does damage on the way out and on the way back, and you can have 2 blades going out simultaneously. This puts out your damage pretty good. Cone of Cold is pretty much the exact same thing as Fire Breath, except it does cold damage and it heals allies. Frozen Burst there. Frost Aura will chill enemies that hit you, so it slows them down for hitting you. And then Cleansing Wave heals you and allies. Not much though, however. Then Lightning Whip is exactly what it looks like. It's a very close range ability. Lightning Touch applies vulnerability. Shocking Aura will stun enemies that attack you. Ride the Lightning is another charge ability. It aggroed that Wasp. And then the Swiftness kicks them back and then gives you Swiftness. Nice way to start to initiate the runaway. So just whip it down real quick, and then let's talk about Earth. Alright, so you have Impale, which is just a spike coming out of the ground, causes bleeding, and can stack up fairly quickly. Ring of Earth is another ability that gives bleeding. Earthquake will knock down enemies around the area that you activate that from. Churning Earth is really kind of cool, which does damage in an AoE. It's a press and hold button instead of your normal press and let it go. So when you release it, it'll go. And that was Magnetic Grasp. So you fire off an ability and then you charge to them. That's kind of how Earth works. So now let's go to Scepter and Focus. Alright, so back in Fire you have Flame Strike, so that just pops up an explosion at your enemy's location. You have Dragon's Nail, which is a AoE, small AoE at your target, but they can't move. You have Phoenix, which will travel out, damage enemies in a line, explode, and then come back to you, dealing damage in that line again. Alright, so then you have your flame wall next, which is just a targeted AoE wall that'll ignite enemies that pass through it. It's also a combo field fire, so get burning damage anywhere, and then flame shield will ignite enemies that attack you. Let's talk about water now. You can launch 3 ice shards at your foe with your auto attack. You have Shatter, which is a targeted AoE that just explodes after a couple seconds. You have Trident, which is an AoE, but it also heals allies in the blast area. You have Frozen Wind, which slows down enemies that are chasing you, and then you have Comet, which just does damage and I think applies vulnerability. See, that warrior just kind of missed out there. Alright, so let's talk about the lightning skills for Scepter. Let me find an enemy real quick, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't that just kind of make you feel like Emperor Palpatine just a little bit? So to actually discuss it, it does more damage the longer it goes on. It hits in 3 phases. It's called Arc Lightning. The cool thing about lightning is its number 2 and number 3 skills can be used simultaneously with arc lightning to combine for just more damage output. So lightning strike, you just strike your foe with lightning every 5 seconds. Blinding flash gives them blindness so they miss you with their next attack. Number 4 is really kind of cool because it sets up this giant zone that prevents projectiles from entering. And then you have Gale, which is a ability that will just knock down your opponent. Also useful for some CC. So now let's talk about Earth. You have Stone Shards, which will channel for a split second, and you'll just chuck stones out. The stones here give you bonus armor, and then as enemies come around you, they take damage. Okay? Dust Devil, as you use it, blinds an enemy. Magnetic Wave will go out in an AoE and reflect projectiles that are thrown at you and damage nearby enemies. And Obsidian Flesh makes you invulnerable for a few seconds. Alright, so let's quickly take down this wasp here using the earth skills. As you can see, with earth, bleeding damage is your friend. So, what I like to go around with is, I usually like to go around with Scepter Dagger. Because that kind of gives you a decent amount of mid-range abilities. So, I like going in, rushing with Ride the Lightning, which is an ability to run right to your opponent and then kicking them back. Kind of with a 1-2 punch. So there you have your heal skill. Glyph of Elemental Harmony, which you use it and based on your attunement gives you different buffs. Signet of Fire improves your critical damage chance, and then you can burn your enemy for activating it. Signet of Air increases your overall movement speed, and then if you use it, blinds nearby allies. The one thing you have to know about Signets is, yes, they do provide you with a passive bonus. However, once you use them, you lose the passive. Now, another set of skills that they have is the ability to summon weapons, which is kind of cool. So when you use a weapon skill like that, you gain the weapon that you've just summoned, and you also set an extra little bit aside for an ally to pick up. So then you can have 2 people with crossbows at once. Each with their own set of skills, which I'm not going to get into in this video. But as you can see on my little bar, you see the little hand there with 7. You only have a certain number of shots with these bows before they get going. So just give you a quick little overview of what the ice bow can do, and then we'll get rid of the ice bow and take a look at the other skills I might be able to pick up because I have the skills, the skill points to get them. And hey, a new event started too, so... sure, we'll try this glyph. And the Glyph of Storms. I haven't done this yet, so let's see what the, well, let's set these up here. Alright, and now we have... summon a little air elemental there, a lesser air elemental. It's okay looking, nothing too special. And that's what the lightning storm looks like. Pretty cool. However, I think it's just as random as Meteor Storm is, which makes it a little unreliable. So as you can see, I got the little lightning elemental helping me out there. Nice thing is when the Phoenix returns, it gives you Vigor, which increases your endurance regeneration by 100%. Now, don't do what I just did and break off from the pack and chase this guy down, because that inevitably leads to your own demise. So, cool thing is yes, I used the storm ability and it did take out an enemy. However, it aggroed everything in the area, including those deer, which, not good. So now since you're down, we'll go over the downed abilities real quick. Number 1 is just a lightning blast.
Barely.
Number 2 is churning earth, which will immobilize enemies. And number 3 turns you into mist form for a few seconds so you can try to escape. But then you're put back into the down state. And then number 4 is your channeled heal. So let's see here. Of course, the point's contested, so I gotta go somewhere else to pick it up. Luckily, with your Glyph of Elemental Harmony, you turn into a fairly effective running machine in lightning, in air attunement. So we equip the staff, switch over to lightning. Ooh, going the wrong way. So pop Glyph of Elemental Harmony, let that swiftness start ticking down. And then when that starts getting low, we pop Windborne Speed and just keep running. And as you see, it can almost work to where you can just keep running almost indefinitely. Almost. Yep. The heck hit me so hard? Oh, it's that little guy. So we're going to keep running. We're going to ignore him for the moment because we want to get back into that event. Heal up and get moving a little faster again. Always good. Ignore the woodcutter. Yes, he would get XP for rezzing him, but he's just an NPC. If he was a player, I would totally help him out. So now we're back in the event. We gotta guard these things here. I notice these guys are all using projectiles, so I pop up that ability and start reflecting all that back at them for a decent amount of damage too. I go down once again, but I see a weak enemy, so I'm just gonna start hitting him as much as I can. And rally. Sweet. Heal up again. Summon a lesser fire elemental this time, which in my opinion looks so much cooler than the air elemental. Hopefully heal up a little bit here before I engage. Switch back to Earth and pop up a magnetic aura again. So, you know, he went down fairly quickly. And unfortunately, I think what's going to happen here is he's going to get away before I can stop him. Oh, so that's what the Earth storm looks like. So I want to thank you guys for previewing the Elementalist with me here. I'm going to wrap up the video here shortly. And thanks for watching. And if you are in need of a guild, feel free to check out the guild Check Your Tiers, which is the guild I'm a part of, linked down in the description below. Feel free to leave any constructive criticism, and I hope to see you all in the next beta.